Alright, B7WA, 10 millimeters on the shift solenoids. 10 millimeter on the dipstick tube. Speed sensors. Linear solenoids. The wiring harness. Most all of this up here is 10 millimeters. This jet kit here, the tube's going to come out and get this 10 millimeter off this bracket over here, and 17 millimeter on the banjo bolt that holds it in the case. Take my speed sensors out. I do mark them, they are both the same, just in case there's a problem with one of them. I know which one went where. And same with my solenoids up here. There's a little tube that goes behind this linear solenoid. Make sure you don't lose it anywhere. These little tubes underneath this linear solenoid. I'm going to take this bolt off of this ground that goes on this bracket, and then you can get the bracket off. Make sure it's nice and clean when you go back on with it. Covers up the neutral switch. And you can get the neutral switch off. Market pressure sensors, they are different, and they're stepped and non-stepped. There are washers that go behind here. This is a stepped one. It's got the area right there. Usually if the one is stepped, the other one is also. The different colors have different pressures that they operate at. This is our external filter, cooler return. There's a screw in like this one, and then there's a one that has a housing, and it's got 3 10mm bolts that hold it together, and there's a spring behind the filter, so make sure you get all that out. $14mm on the main case. You'll flip this up on its end. If you're an R&R guy, or you haven't done it already, you need to pull the linkage off the front. My guys know to take it off. And there's several spots around this case, or the end cover, that you can knock it up. Go ahead and take your end cover off. Make sure any tubes that have came out go back down in there. You can leave these in there. You need to pull this accumulator out. There's a little clip in here. Just pop it out. And let's pull that off. And the accumulator out. Make sure you don't bend those tubes. Alright, 1 5/16". This is left-handed, the other one's right. I'm sorry. These are right-handed, the other one's left. What's up, gun? What I'm thinking today. It's not been a good day. Lost my manager today. This is right, these two are left. Alright, if you can hit this straight, you can take a hammer and kind of tap down on the shaft. If you can't hit it straight, don't do that. You don't want to screw the threads up. You get you a couple hill bars, get up underneath the drum there. washer on each of these gears. Get up underneath the gear and pry them off. If you chip a tooth doing it, don't worry about it, we can fix that. Alright, pull this off and use the air hammer here. You got this bit for it right here. Here again, you want to go in straight. You don't want to screw up the threads. Check and make sure all your bearings are good. Nothing's pitted. Usually it's not. This is not where the problem is usually at. And I just zip tie this stuff together so I can wash it and not have to worry about anything. Makes it quicker putting it back together. Make sure these start getting worn out. I just bend the plastic tab back up and I'm gonna have to break a new manager in, and he just doesn't understand already. 12 millimeters here. This comes off. There's a pin. There's a flat washer. There's two caged bearings. There's a washer with a lip on it underneath that. It's gonna stay in there for right now. Move your gear back towards you. Bend this tab up. .10 millimeter on this bolt right here. Alright, pull it all the way to the low position. You got a spring that goes underneath and this piece that goes in the center here. Get you a couple pry bars, one underneath right here, one over here. Here's our washer. Make sure that these bearings back here are in good shape. This case bearing that's in right here, this one does it too, but the center one right here, make sure it's not moving back and forth. That's the one that does it the most. Here's our reverse idler. Bend this tab out. Just going to be too big. Alright, most all this is going to be 10 millimeters till we get down to the bottom. Check our gear here. Usually all this is in good shape. Do check right here where the slider comes up and latches into here. The cage bearing. Usually if there's a problem here, it's right on these teeth or this fork where it rides in the slider, both sides of the slider. Make sure they're not rounded. Pay attention to how this goes. Make sure nothing rounded there. We're looking good. And let's zip tie all this stuff together. I do take it apart so that all the bearings and everything can get warm. We got a washer bearing, 2 cage bearings, and a flat bearing here. Like I say, most all this is usually in just fine shape. If anything's going to happen, it's usually right there on that bearing. That bearing will start coming apart, it'll start pitting, and rollers will fall out. It'll chew up this gear and it'll chew up that bearing in the case there. This all looks good. 2 cage bearings, flat bearing, and a washer. Take all of our drums apart in a little bit. Make sure our main shaft is in good shape. Looks good. Got a flat bearing, cage bearing, flat bearing on this side, and a race. Usually the sprags are bad. You can take the sprag, and this one's not as bad as a lot of them are. You take this and you spin it, and it spins around almost a full turn or more. That sprag is bad. It doesn't matter that when you turn it back it locks. I always replace the sprag. Need a pair of snap ring pliers. This one here, I do not zip tie it all together. There's a washer here with the lip. Holds these 2 half moon clips in. There's a flat washer, flat bearing, 2 cage bearings, another flat bearing here. We'll take this apart in a minute. Usually all this is in good shape. Just make sure that there's no chips or anything. You can take this apart if you want to. There's no need to. I just wash it all together. There is a wire clip down in here. You have to dig it out. This comes off, and there's 2 more half moon clips here, and then all this lifts off. Make sure your diff bearings are in good shape. Your pins aren't walking out, and your ring gear is okay. Alright, we'll take the valve body off. It's all tins. There are 2 dowel pins on each level of the valve body. If there's going to be a problem here, it's going to be where these rings ride from the shaft. Right down in here, just make sure it's okay. Yeah.
They can wait.
Check this one here where the rings ride off the other shaft. Alright, there's 3 12s right here. There are check balls in there, so be careful when you lift this off. What you need to look for back here is in the pump pocket where the gears ride in this pocket here. Make sure this is not eat up. Usually you don't have to worry about the gears unless that pocket's eat up. Take your dowel pins out of your case and let that drain. Now on my drums, what I do is I mark one side and I mark the drum so I know which one goes on which side. Just makes it quicker. Usually your steels have a little groove in them. If it's not horrible, you can run them again. It has to be really, really bad to be a problem, but you can replace them if you want to. Oh yeah. Been a day. Alright, there are check valves down inside these pistons. Make sure it holds fluid one way and releases fluid the other. I've only ever had a problem with one, and I've been doing a lot of Hondas over the years, so they're usually not a problem. Depending on how long they try to drive is how much is going to be burnt up in here. Usually, unless they've really tried to get it to go, the only ones that are burnt up are the thirds down there. This others are usually not that burnt up. These are little, but they're still okay. And it's a little glazed, but we can fix that. This one's got 2 pistons in it. There are 2 different tooth counts on these steels here. There's 20 tooth and 24. This is the 24. And these are pretty gone. So we'll go ahead and get 3rd steels. I think we'll go ahead and get the 2nds also. If those clutches get bad enough, what happens is it'll come up here and it'll come up so far and apply so far that the piston will start spinning, and it's going to ruin your spring, it's going to ruin your retainer. Usually you can fix the piston, but usually your spring, retainer, and your snap ring are going to get taken out. Alright, so looks like we're going to do a LS kit. We're going to do 3rd steels, 5 of those. Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 2nds. The low sprag, which I guess we can go ahead and take that apart. Just get a bushing driver, fits down inside there. Pop that hub out. Mark your sprag. It's turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. Check right here where the sprag rides and make sure it's not all eat up. There's a snap ring right here. Pop it out. Hopefully I got good enough view of everything. It won't go down any further. And knock this bearing out of the front there. Trying to do some of this stuff on camera sometimes is not very easy. I don't got a camera person to maneuver everything for me. Make sure your bearing's okay, it always is. You got a washer here, or sprag, and another washer on the bottom. And I've never seen one of these bad, but it can happen. Alright, so we're doing the low sprag, which you can use early 4L60E forward sprag for that. The 5 steels for third and second. 2 valve body plug kits from Sonax. I already got the Transgo spring that we can put in there, so I don't need to order that. I guess we ought to make sure that we don't have no pressure switch codes. If we do, we order those. And a torque converter. And I guess that should be it for this one.